Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Huge drama going down last night before, during and even after the flank itself. Clayster versus aBeZy have teleported back to 2014 again with the way these two were going at it last night. Plenty to dive into, but also in the CDL itself, the final match of the day. Massive controversy in game 1 of the series when the rules were straight up wrong, costing Seattle the victory. They do get the series dub regardless, but this was definitely a big contentious point the last evening. Very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. So firstly, just wanted to mention that DanielZY did actually reply to Rotation Ant and say, you know what, fair point on this whole lack of communication on challenges stuff. It was basically revealed yesterday that challenges this year is going to be done on Face It instead, which I think is pretty cool. But it's like, can they announce it or something? I think people are definitely waiting. Lots of talking points, though, on this particular series yesterday. Boston versus Surge. There was too much happening yesterday for me to cover it in last night's video, so I thought, you know what, we'll do it today instead. Surge looks like they were going to get the W map 1. In the end, though, Boston break into Palace, can you believe, and close out the last few seconds to win map 1. So, very entertaining map. I think Boston are actually all right. It's just Surge really impressed me this series, especially over the final several maps of the series. The search was good. You know, close maps here generally, but Surge usually had the upper hand. So Boston get the game 1 W, and also this is the thing with Surge, that, well, we can look at the overall series stats here actually. I was asking the question, what happens when Ely drops a 0.9 or a 0.85 or whatever? Still had the most damage on his team though actually, but the team still wins because RST stepped up, aBeZy stepped up big time, and who dropped a 1.0. So I was really impressed by Surge here. Yes, they lost the invasion by 7 points, and we'll get into the drama on that right about now. They then bounced back and won the terminal. They took the invasion in around 5. I think Boston had to try and win 2 offenses in a row. They got 1. They didn't get the second, and then terminal again was pretty competitive. So I don't think Boston are that bad, but I think the Boston are basically what I expected them to be. When I don't know why Slash has had a couple of like underwhelming series in a row. I don't think he's getting slammed on any individual map. It's more like at the end of the series he has a 0.85 or a 0.9, and maybe part of it's like he's got to think so much about what to say to Snoopy and Cap to keep them from going rogue, that concentrating on putting everything together is a bit of a problem. And you see this with Boston, right? They make mistakes and sometimes they don't trade, and especially the control. I thought the defense they lost was definitely, you know, poor on their perspective. So lots to think about from the Boston side going forwards, but definitely Surge impressed me the final 3 maps. The big drama though for sure was on map 1. As we can see, they lost in the end by only 7 points on that invasion hardpoint, and that would have been potentially a different story if the rules were actually correct for map 1. Now, to be fair, this probably cost Surge like maybe 4 seconds, and they did lose by 7, right? So maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but it's still crazy. So as RST says, GG's Breach won 4-0, lol. Like, okay, they won the final 3 maps, but he says they also should have won map 1. Now, what actually happened here is that for game 1 of this series, the invasion hardpoints, if you guys have played pubs or whatever, there's a delay, isn't there, between when the first hardpoint actually appears and when it activates. Now, that doesn't exist in the competitive rules. Okay, it takes a couple of seconds after spawn for it to begin, because otherwise literally nobody can get any time because they're running off spawn. So it waits a few seconds, then it pops. But there's no activation delay in the official rules, and that's what RST says. The hardpoint doesn't pop off the rip in the game. We lose out on 4 seconds and lose by 3. So I think they lost by 7. But whatever, the point stands that how exactly do you get the rules wrong on this one? Because basically Surge getting to the point here, as we can see, and Trey says, yeah, I looked back at this, like, we can't take this league seriously with this type of stuff going on. So there was a 10-second activation delay when, as we can see here, by the time that aBeZy and the Surge guys get into the hardpoint, we can see they're running in, and the hardpoint is still not active. They get in with about 3 seconds, 3-4 seconds before it's activated. It should be active here. They should be ticking points. They should probably be at 3 to 4 seconds by the time they get their first tick on the board. So, you know, this is crazy stuff. To be honest, the main issue is the CDL rules don't probably exist in the game. So a referee has to go through and set them up manually every single time. But of course, it's his job to get it right. And as Envoy says, we got told it's not actually on the referees. Well, it is on the referees to some degree, but it's on the teams, not the refs, to notice the rules are wrong. So this is kind of crazy, right? The referee, sure, mistakes are going to happen. You've got to put all these settings in. You forget to change the activation delay. Okay, it shouldn't happen. It's the first weekend of the season. Whatever, it happens. The referee makes the mistake and the game begins. surely if the referee notices, oh, hang on a second here, like someone's got to notice that that activation delay shouldn't have been there, they should have said, all right, guys, let's just restart the game, our bad. However, no, it's apparently not on the referees to figure this out. It's on the players. We got told it's on the teams, not the refs, to notice that the rules are wrong. And actually, Intel CDL here, Chrome came out with this clarification tweet that there's something called a game of records that the league has implemented, which gives teams a chance to raise a game setting issue. Now, apparently, 2 minutes into the game, after 2 minutes of gameplay, game of record is then established and no restarts will be made. So, I guess if Arcetes and the team said to the referees, literally mid-map, like, hey guys, this is wrong, within the first minute or two, then they would have restarted the game. But after 2 minutes, apparently it's then whatever happens, happens, and it's not a replay, and the pros are considered to have basically accepted the rules after the first minute or so. In some ways, I don't think this is massively problematic in the sense that, let's say they accidentally kept on the, you know, when you spawn in, but you actually, there's like an animation where you like get out of a truck or whatever. Like if that stays on, the pros might be like, right, it doesn't really matter. But after 2 minutes, they, you know, you don't want to get to the end of a game and then the team say, oh, well, you guys had the rules wrong because we got out of the truck at the start rather than just spawning in. That should be a replay. So I guess the league has made this up to ensure that after the pros play 2 minutes, they basically agree to whatever the rules are, being the rules of the rest of the map. But still, it's kind of wild. Of course, though, not the only drama of the day by any means. We actually had this from Scrappy on the first day, listening to the Flank's brain dead takes, and last night was rather entertaining. So, look, the guys on the flank, because of the rules seemingly set in place now by the CDL and Activision, everything like this, the new updated YouTube deal seems to have a clause in the contract which prevents anybody showing any of the CDL action on any other platforms, which means the flank can't run the flank as they normally would. So, lots of talking points about that. We dived into it last night, but and this is actually what Ben says, that on Tuesday they were told what was allowed and apparently it was going to be fine. They executed the show on Friday as they typically would, and that's what I said yesterday. It's like, if they knew this was problematic, why not tell Zoom and the guys in advance rather than waiting for them to do it and then hitting them with a lawyer email? So apparently then prior to the games, there was then a new policy and then additional restrictions came through today. So it's like, what's going on? It's frustrating for all involved, but that doesn't mean, it's like, look, they're trying to shut down this show, which is just so many entertaining moments. So to keep things entertaining, they of course talk through the games, and during the Carolina versus Miami series, when they discussed that, Clay was catching some strays, not really strays to be honest, like aBeZy was just roasting him straight up on his performance on that Carolina team when they got 3-0'd by the Miami Heretics in their kind of debut match yesterday. And it was all going on here. I mean, some of the faces, like, there's a couple of good memes. This was one from Haggy. There's another one that's on the thumbnail of this video, which is another angle of this, where Parasite was sitting there just hoping, basically, as Nick says, that he didn't catch any strays during this argument. And, you know, this went on for like a solid 45 minutes here of these guys just going back and forth. Just like prime time Call of Duty, you know, back in the complexity days when Clayster was controversially dropped for Karma back then. And, of course, the two had beef at the time. And here we are, fast forward basically a decade, and they're still going at it. So aBeZy is pretty much calling out Clay for his performance. Clay's clapping back and saying, look, you don't know what you're talking about, mate. You got retired 4 years ago because you're terrible, right? You're out of the league now. I'm still here. And look, at the end of the day, if you had to create an all-time COD list, I think Clay's going to be higher than aBeZy on pretty much all of those lists. But aBeZy obviously has his opinions on this one. Clay has his opinions on this one. And definitely aBeZy got under Clay's skin in the early part of this. And then Clay then kind of clapped back and got under Pat's skin as well towards the end. So just premium entertainment, really.
Every time we play after that, I could not believe it.
Okay. Let me get this straight. Explain to me how 21 points in Hardpoint, 2 rounds in Surge is getting shit on, Pat.
Well,
Explain.
First off, Clay, let's go back to the original. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the show, but why the hell are you playing Skid Row and High Rise against Heretics?
Bro, shut
You're
up.
playing JurNii, MettalZ. They don't even know how they play.
You don't know shit, bro.
I know you. I watched you get waxed today.
We got shit on, bro.
3-0.
You watch the same brother. Oh my god, you're the same guy that looks at. You're the same guy.
And you got 0. That is a shit on, my brother.
That is not how that works. You are ignorant, bro. You are so ignorant. You see 3-0, you just say shit on, bro. Do you even watch the matches?
I watched. I think you got turned on one time. I didn't want to clip it.
I got turned on, huh?
You're lucky, Clay.
You're the
Clay,
same
honestly,
guy who looks at the stats
Clay.
and says, oh, you dropped a .8, you guys shit on, when that's -2 in Hardpoint and -2 in Control. Wow. shit on, bro.
Hey, I wouldn't be going negative. I wouldn't be going negative. But
Chris, Tommy, Ben, I feel sad for you guys, man, that you have to put up with this every day, man. Like, I mean, it's really just like
I feel sad for the Gwyn guys for having to deal with you currently in the CDL. Get those guys some. It's their rookie season, brother. Like, they're in their breakout year.
Do you want to play? Do you want to play? I will sign you right now. Please come play. Please come play.
I would not play this game
if you come play, Pat.
Holy
You're
fuck.
so terrible. You got kicked out of the league 4 years ago. You are so awful.
I did.
You got kicked out
next
when
year
all
you're
the old
gonna be
heads were still
jobless,
there.
brother. And I'm chilling. I am good. I'm set up. You though, jobless in a year. Don't worry, Clay. Don't worry, Clay. If you hit me up, want to hit me up for a job,
you're chilling.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
You got carried your whole career. You're dog shit. You're making a dog shit game. This show is dog shit. No wonder you're not playing.
Simp, aBeZy, Shotzzy, and Kyler is not being talked about being carried. Jesus, because once they got rid of you, Clay, they've been straight to the top, and you went right down to the Carolina Royal Ravens, where you're getting 3-0'd by the Heretics. It's good talking to you, Clay. I'll see you later. Just know me over you, absolutely.
So Clay kind of got aches back as well during this whole saga by talking about the stitches event and kind of had an interesting theory as to exactly how he might have got those stitches. Basically, he cut his hand out to have stitches in that event that he won back in the day that he always talks about. And Clay came up with an interesting theory as to how they potentially had got there and, well, therefore, they went back and forth for a little bit. And then Clay followed up on Twitter afterwards saying, of course, Aches said, I wouldn't go negative in the series, and Clay was like, well, hang on a second, let's have a look at your stats from back in your last season, basically, let's say Black Ops 4, where of the 204 players that played, it seems, during the season, Eggs had the 203rd best KD, as you guys can see on the left-hand side. Okay, it's tiny, but you guys get the picture. So, Eggs had a 0.87, I guess, for the season, minus 506 overall kills, and then the lowest KD was actually Methods, but not Methods Zinni, but Methods Sick, right? So the Spanish Methods, who's actually now coaching the Miami team that just beat Clayster. So, you know, Eggs getting roasted for this, and I guess fair enough. And then obviously Method says, like, for the record, that is not I, that's the other Methods, because he was kind of catching some strays here as well. And then Eggs says, like, oh, Black Ops 4, 5v5, stim shot cheese, no rings on good COD games, could it be me, saying that Clay's got carried. And then Clay says, you know, well, context matters in these scenarios, and you don't seem to understand that. So quality drama between the two of them, as of course you would very much expect. And as Clay says, you know, you should be thanking me for making your unintelligent, dry commentary better by Clay joining in and having a good time. But we'll see, because, you know, it's easier for Eggs. He sits on the commentary show and he chats whatever he wants. Clay's got the pressure on. He's competing this year, of course. He wants to, well, succeed, but it's maybe not looking so good so far on this Ravens team. But it's early days, of course. The season's only just begun. New York Subliners, the last couple of years have had good years, but they've typically been slammed 3-0 in their opening games. Didn't happen this year, of course. They finally got a W on the board. But let's talk about the games for today. Scrappy doesn't play today, but he wasn't so happy about his picture here. He was actually kind of roasting the CDL production team for putting this picture on. Okay, maybe you think they've done him dirty, but it is just a picture of him, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know exactly what more he wants on this one, but he also went on to say, someone update my picture on CDL Schedule immediately. I don't know who I got to contact for this, but, you know, let's get something sorted. They don't play today, though. They'll play again, of course, next weekend. These are the 4 matches, though, for this evening. So, Vegas Ravens, that's to kick us off. Difficult to call, right? I mean, Ravens haven't won a map yet. They got close. They'll surely win a map in this series. The question is, do you pick Legion in 5 or not? It's obviously Attach versus Clay. It's Standy versus Clay as well. So there's a couple of nice storylines in here. I think I would favour the Ravens bounce back, but I think my predictions on this have not been so good so far. Then Subliners Gorillas. From what I saw from Gorillas yesterday in the respawn modes, they're just not going to have enough, right? And New York have the firepower. They turn up for matches. You've got to lean their way. FaZe should beat Thieves, but I'm really interested to see this series, actually, because Thieves looked pretty good against Surge. And I think without Illy dropping a 1.7 maybe and having a crazy series, and without Thieves maybe throwing away the game 4 in some respects, they could have done better there. And FaZe, you know, they competed against Boston. It was a close series. It was a game 5. Boston nearly pulled off the reverse sweep. I'm thinking FaZe will win this one more comfortably, actually, because I know that Simp did say that their control was better than it looked the other day. So I'll take FaZe in a 3-1. And then OpTic Rocker. This is a big series of both teams because Rocker lost their first match against Legion. You really don't want to start 0-2. It's like for Boston, they've lost to 2, you know, they've lost to FaZe, they've lost to Surge. 2 seemingly pretty solid teams in the upper half of the league at the moment. But 0-2 is not not the start you want when you really want to win 4 series to make sure you're starting in winners, especially at their home major Boston at the end of January. So same story for these guys. You don't want to go 0-2. And I think that you've got early in OpTic's way, though, given what Rocker showed yesterday. Their search was just nowhere to be found, and I feel like they can, maximum they're going to win 50% of their respawns against OpTic. So on the balance of probabilities, it should be OpTic series, but it's an important one for anyone to get on the board. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.